Ladies and gentlemen, it is a beautiful day for cosplay and prop making. I'm Anthony at Chaos Rogue Designs, and today we are here for our 5th episode of Props, Cosplay and Coffee. Today I had the post all ready to go. The person has since deleted their post, so I can only imagine that they found what they were looking for. But their post basically said that they were in an area where they couldn't get a product that they'd seen when they were following a build guide. It sounded like they were literally following this build guide to the word, so probably a bit of a new builder, like I'm sure some of you are as well. And they'd made their prop, and the person who was making the video recommended that they use Plastidip to prepare their prop for painting. And Plastidip was not a product they could get hold of. I've been there with that one, actually. You'll find that a lot of prop makers and cosplayers from the US recommend that you use Plastidip as your primer. And you know what? It's a really good recommendation. That product is absolutely fantastic. Basically, we heat our foam props up first, so they are ready for a coating for priming. Plastidip has a slightly rubbery texture, which is really fantastic because you'll find that if it's got a rubbery texture, paint, when you spray it on or when you brush it on, it bites to the primer that you've put down, and it really sticks down very, very well. And because the Plastidip has a slightly rubberized texture, it also has a little tiny bit of flex to it. Not a lot, but a tiny bit of flex, which is fantastic. It means that if you ever end up bending your prop, not going to happen with guns, but might happen with armor. If you end up bending them slightly to make them a little bit tighter around your leg or whatever, it's never going to crack. If the primer cracks, all the paint on top is going to crack as well, because of course you're moving one thing and it's going to move everything on top of it. So Plastidip is a fantastic product because you don't have those issues. But if you can't get hold of Plastidip, I have imported Plastidip. I live in the UK. You can't get it here, absolutely not. But I have imported it before. Ended up costing about £25 for a can. It's not viable at all. I used it on a gun I'd made, a pistol, and I used more than half the can on one pistol because I wanted 3 coats of it on there. Absolutely not viable. If you've got money to piss up the wall, then yeah, go for it. But there are cheaper alternatives available. Now, I don't know where this person was from. So I'm in the UK. There's a company in this country called Polyprops that do their own version of Plastidip. It's their own primer. I think they call it Hex Seal or something along those lines. Polyprops are definitely worth taking a look at. It's still quite expensive when you think about it. It's about £10 per can, and that's not including the postage. But it's a really good product nonetheless. Whenever I'm doing commission work, I always use that as the primer because it has a lot of the properties that Plastidip does have. If that sounds like it's out of your kind of ballpark for money, for budget, another good one you can use, and I have a bottle of it here because I recorded this once and forgot to press record, is Mod Podge. Now, I have talked about Mod Podge before in a few videos. I'll do a proper video on it at some point. But basically, this stuff does exactly the same. You spray it. Sorry, you paint it even. You use a brush and you apply it to your foam props to make them ready to paint. It also has a nice texture to it, so the paint will bite down nice and hard and it won't come off. But because it's a brush-on product, it does require a few more steps to it. So you've got to kind of work it out in your head if it's worth it, it's worth the time, or if it's worth the money if you go with the spray. Say a spray will literally take you, in total, if you ignore drying times, 5 minutes of your time. You'll go out, you'll spray, you'll come back in half an hour, spray it again. 5 minutes of your time in total. Mod Podge, you're going to be sitting there brushing this stuff on. And if you want to do a few coats, and then you want to sand it to give a good finish, depends on the style of the prop. I'm making an SMG at the moment, and I'm already thinking in my head, it's a prototype, I'm not selling that one, that's just for me. I tend to use Mod Podge for all of those. I've got to find 2 hours somewhere to do that, 2.5 hours maybe. You might be thinking, whoa, that long? Yeah, that long. And it's really just because you want to do light brushes, you want to keep brush strokes to a minimum, and then at the end you just need to sand it and make sure you don't miss anything. So yeah, I know at some point I've got to find 2.5 hours to kind of do that. I normally just do it in front of a movie. And yeah, by the end of the movie, hopefully I'll be done with my Mod Podge as well. It's very cheap though, in comparison to the sprays. I said this pot here, it will last a really, really long time. No joke, that's probably like a good 10 props. No joke. And that was under £10. A £10 can of that stuff, depending on your prop size, of course, may last you less than 2 props. Another option you can explore, it's again not super obtainable in the UK, but across Europe it certainly is. There's a product called FlexBond. FlexBond is very similar to Mod Podge. You still have to brush it on. You can airbrush it on, but you'll need a sort of siphon type airbrush, and I just wouldn't, because it would probably get clogged up if I did it. But it's good. It's a good product. I think the difference really is the FlexBond seems to have a slight self-leveling property to it, which by design hides a lot of your brush strokes. But a really good product nonetheless. If it was more obtainable here, I probably would pick it up over the Mod Podge, but Mod Podge is what we have readily available here, and I use it for pretty much most of my props that I am not selling to customers. But yeah, so if you're a bit stumped and you can't get hold of Plastidip, it's a wicked product if you can get hold of it, but Mod Podge is honestly a pretty fantastic alternative, and a good budget alternative as well. So yeah, if you can't get Plastidip, Mod Podge, FlexBond, there are options. On that same hand as well, if you'd use anything in particular, you're watching this video and thinking like, he missed out the one that I use. Let me know in the comments, man. I would love to know. I really would love to know. Always up for exploring new products. And in the future, I will be doing a proper video on Mod Podge or on other sort of options for primers, because it is a really important step. And if you screw that up, in effect, the whole kind of paint job will be screwed up afterwards. So it is a really, really important step. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of Props, Cosplay and Coffee. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learnt something useful. If you've made it this far through the video, I presume you liked it. So please hit the like button. And also trying to get a bit of traction on the platform. If you would consider subscribing, that would help me do so immensely. But no pressure if you don't. Anyway, take it easy, everyone. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.